Now is the time to plant spring flowering bulbs to give you a glorious show next year from February and March right through until May. I'm going to show you 3 different ways of planting spring flowering bulbs, and for one of them, well, you don't even need a garden. Bulbs come in all shapes and sizes, but regardless of whether they're tulips, daffodils, crocuses or whatever, make sure they're fat and they're firm, and that means you'll get plenty of flowers out of them. This is a daffodil or a narcissus bulb. Narcissus is the botanical name for the daffodil, but we tend to call daffodils with lots of little flowers narcissi, and the big trumpet ones daffodils. That's a daffodil bulb. This is a tulip bulb, slightly different. They've both got flowers deep down inside there, ready to spring up thanks to them being grown well. And this is a crocus. It's actually a corm. That means it's a shrunken stem. The easiest way to grow them, which you can do even if you haven't got a garden, is in a pot, and you'll be amazed at how many you can cram into a single container. Especially if it's a big one. First thing though, in the bottom, 1 drainage hole, just arrange some bits of broken flower pot or gravel or whatever over it. Now some people say, oh, you don't need crocks in the bottom, it's an outdated way. You do, because if the compost goes right down into that hole, worms get up through that hole and they clog the hole, and then you get a waterlogged pot, and bulbs do not like waterlogging. Next comes the compost. I'm using a peat-free multi-purpose mix, and I'm going to fill this pot half full, that's all, just halfway up. Bit. Even it out. It's a generous half, that, but I can bed my first layer in. First layer. Yes, this kind of planting has a lovely name. It's called lasagne planting because you plant in layers, and the reason we do that is to give us a longer display of flowering by using different types of bulbs. Now, the first layer will be tulips, and I'm going to use a mixture here. It doesn't matter if they flower at slightly different times, though these are all scheduled to flower in April and May. This is National Velvet, a lovely sort of deep wine red. I'm going to space these out. I've only got 6 of these, but I'm going to be really generous with what I plant, so I'll space these out and put others in between. So there they are, they're spaced out. But I went last year to Arundel in Sussex to their tulip festival, which is sensational. And their containers were absolutely rammed with bulbs, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can grow just a few if you want, or if funds are a bit short. Otherwise, it's another one here called Bojangles. Go mad, pack them close together. It seems incredibly generous, but all I can say is when they come up and flower and you've got this enormous great bunch of tulips, coo, these are spectacular, and you think, oh, I wish I'd put more in like they did. Well, that's why I'm doing it. 24 seems extravagant. You ain't seen nothing yet. What I've used there is a mixture that I like, that complement one another. National Velvet with those plum-coloured, wine-coloured flowers, Bojangles, bit stripy and pink, and this one, Candy Apple Delight. Second layer, Daffs, Narcissi. This is a mixture of white ones of varying heights. It's called Snow Fusion. They're very imaginative plant names nowadays. So I'll tear the packet open, drop them in, and add to them another little one, Doll Baby. And again, I'm being as generous with these, another one, Replete. But you can see the general tone, white and salmon pink I'm going for in these daffodil layers. If you like them all jumbled up, different colours, do what suits you. But there we are. Now I've got to spread these out right the way across. Don't worry about, oh my goodness, how will the tulips get up? They'll get up. They want to live. I always say that about plants. They want to grow. It's just up to us not to get in the way. I like to think it's obvious, but I'll just drop it in anyway. Point upwards, roots downwards. The thing about planting them in good compost, it'll be enough nourishment in there for so many bulbs. And I'm not finished yet. Just tucking it down. Don't pat it. Never pat compost. You're not flattening it. You're just tucking it with your fingertips down among the bulbs so that there are no air pockets. And next up, the smallest of all, the crocuses. And I'm using a mixture here. Joan of Arc is white, golden yellow, I don't know to tell you what colour that is, and Prince Claus, which is white and purple. Just a jolly mixture, and these will be the first to flower in February, March. I get ridiculously excited at bulb planting time because it's looking forward, you know, the joy of the journey. It's better to travel, hopefully, they say, than to arrive. Well, here, I enjoy the travelling, hopefully, but when you get there, when these arrive, my goodness me, the pleasure is even greater. Just tucking these down a little bit, nestling them into the compost. Do make sure with these that you got them the right way up, because sometimes it's difficult to tell. That's the bottom and that's the top. Sometimes you do have to look quite closely. No patting. If you're enjoying all the action on our gardening channel, why not subscribe? Join our community. So why are the tulips there, the daffs there, and the crocuses there? Well, it's in reverse order of flowering. The crocuses flower first, up they'll come, bloom, fade. The daffs will then come up to hide their embarrassment and flower on the top. And as the daffs are fading, then the tulips have had time to come all the way up. And because the tulips are 16 to 20 inches tall, they'll cover up the mess that the daffodils are leaving. You see, there's a lot of thought gone into this. Another way I like to feature spring flowering bulbs is in my borders, particularly at the front of beds and borders. Dig a hole about 3 times as deep as the bulbs you're planting. I use dwarf miniature narcissi like this one, W.P. Milner. Now you can dot bulbs through your borders. I prefer to plant them in clumps. Here I'm using 9 of these bulbs, a good clump rather than just the singles or 2 or 3 together. It looks more generous and it's more impactful. Sit the bulbs in the bottom of the hole with their noses or shoots facing upwards. Space them apart so that they've got room just to grow over the years, these between 1 and 2 inches apart. And then infill and lightly firm the soil. That really is all there is to it. There is another way of planting bulbs, and it's called naturalizing. That's what we call it when you plant them in grass and they come up and flower in spring, then the foliage dies down as the grass is growing taller. Daffodils and narcissi I like to do in clumps, rather like those that I planted in the garden. But with tulips, I plant them singly through this area here, and they come up rather like a big wildflower meadow. And the thing to use is one of these, a bulb planter. Put your weight on it. Tulips, which I'm planting here, last longer if you can get them down a bit, so I'm doing the full depth of this planter, and the first core comes out. Good job, I had a good breakfast, isn't it? There we are, the first core comes out just like that when you're doing the second one, and on you go. Sometimes you hit a root and you really do have to give it a bit welly. You can see how much more effective and economical this is than using a spade to dig a hole for an individual bulb. If you want a clump, yeah, dig a larger hole and space them out. But when you're planting singly, as I do with these tulips through this meadow, this is such a quick and easy way, provided you've got a bit of weight. And the last core of your clutch of bulbs goes back to the first hole. Drop a bulb into each hole, and then it is a matter of putting back the divots and pressing them in. This is where you can use your foot. Last one in. And now I can look forward to a flower-filled spring. Waterlogging really is the only thing that bulbs don't like. Other than that, any decent soil, good bit of light, up they'll come. It's called the postponement of gratification. But boy, when it comes, it's so enjoyable. If you want more gardening advice and inspiration like this, then why not subscribe to my channel? I'm posting new videos every week.